Shalom to everyone, and this week we're studying Parashat Noah. It's in the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 9. There's one main topic in Parashat Noah that you can't escape. It's an issue that basically is so important, especially this year, more than last year and more than the year before, is the sense of security of people, which means how can I guarantee my security? How can I guarantee that I am protected, since the way human history is unfolding in front of our eyes right now, by economy, by security, politics, and everything else. It is like from one month to another, sometimes from 1 week to another, it looks like the security, the sense of security that many people had, I think billions of people had, all around the world, is simply disintegrating. And things are not the way they used to be. The plague of the corona shook a lot people's trust in their government, in their own selves. And now the corona is almost over. There's only leftovers here and there, but still the political craziness that is happening just in front of us, whoever is aware to it, is making more and more parts of this world unsafe, insecure, and wherever you live, you realize that whatever you thought is taken for granted, like for hundreds of years, people were fighting for security, for all kinds of measurements of protection. Now it looks like it's so fragile, like never before in the last century, at least since World War II. Where are we heading to? And where do we regain the sense of security, since for millennia people survived without this sense of security, political or economical, and people still continued living? Not that many. There was never a situation with 8 billion people on this planet, and probably not because people did not want to multiply. Simply not so many kids survived, not so many people survived. Life expectancy was very short. People either died from diseases or from wars or from robbery, killing, whatever you name it. So, and the question is, what do we get from Parashat Noah? The major thing is, what does it really mean to have a protective shield, which means to heighten our ability to survive? And we know one of the major concepts of security is our belief system, which means when somebody has a belief system that allows them to see the insecurity, and because of that to move to another location on time, to move to another country on time, to change profession on time, to be able to be creative enough so whenever the calamity hits, to be able to reinvent yourself fast enough so you're not just falling with everybody, you're also using the crisis in order to grow, in order to help people, and by this gain powers you couldn't imagine you have before. So this is all about belief systems. This is all about where our mind is, because we know security is not just something that you can gain by money and power and government. People can feel very secure and then make a wrong decision one moment, and it's gone. So one of the major things we learn when we study Kabbalah is that whatever we think is right, the chances that this is right are not very high. And how do we know that? If we really think about ourselves, if we look about our belief systems 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there were a lot of things that we were totally certain that they are the truth and nothing but the truth. And today we think about it like, how could I ever think about it as a possibility? Okay, how could that happen? How could that happen that people with a clear mind, people who are educated, they're not stupid, they're not retarded, they had a great, good education, the best the country can or the world can give them, any human being, and still you see these kind of people making horrible decisions about themselves and others. You can see it from the side. You see that they cannot be corrected. They won't listen. Okay? And if you think about it, you might also think, what are the things that I am blind to? Although I think that I see what there is, and most people, they want just good. It's not that, it's a very small part of humanity that they really want anarchy and destruction. Okay? Most people, they have a good intention. They don't want to destroy. However, you look at people's decisions, and in a way, many times you're not so sure about it. How does that happen? Of course, the answers to that are all in this Parasha, Parashat Noach, and understanding Parashat Noach, especially that Parashat Noach is always in the beginning of the month of Cheshvan, Scorpio, which is a month that awakens a lot of insecurity, fear, and violence inside people. For instance, like a lot of some of the greatest crises in the history of the previous century happened on this month, which means we're talking about the collapse of the American economy in 1929. It happened in the month of Scorpio. When we are talking about the collapse of the American market again in 87, 2008, the Israeli stock market and the banking system in 1983, all of that happened on this month, the month of Scorpio. But more than that, here we're talking about the flood, Mabul. And here we always read about it, the biggest calamity in memory of humanity. We read about it in the month of Scorpio. Now, when we are going around the world to so many civilizations, that we can find traces of the flood, of Noah's flood, like in almost every civilization around the world. So we understand there is a correlation between Parashat Noach and the sense that one day everything looks secure and the other day there's nothing left. Okay? So the question is, what is the legacy of Parashat Noach? How does Parashat Noach help us to achieve a better sense of security? Or how do we decipher the idea, like how do we make the right decisions on the right time, and how do we bring ourselves to that place in which, some animals, we have a lot of testimonies to that just before a great earthquake or a big calamity, you see a big animal migration happening, which means how could they sense the idea that the calamity is coming and they start escaping? Like, where did they get that fear? We want to be also connected to that network that animals connect to, in which they feel when to escape, although, it doesn't have all the animals. Okay, so let us start, and the story is the story of Noah. And as we said, Genesis chapter 6, verse 9. אלה תולדות נוח, נוח איש צדיק תמים היה בדורותיו. These are the generations of Noach. Noach was a complete righteous person in his generations. There's so many stories about it. There's so many discussions about it. What does it mean? I don't want to go into it because this is a huge parasha and our time is short. But we have to understand, when the Torah speaks about a topic, only very small fraction of the information is visible. The rest of the information and the most important, valuable information is somehow encoded within the story and in between the lines. And since this is that the topic is the Zohar study of Noach, we want to go straight into the Zohar study because there's so many people teaching about what other commentators are saying, and there's not enough people teaching about the Zohar, what the Zohar is saying about it. So the story is for people who still do not know the story. We're talking Parashat Bereshit, the previous parasha, about the creation of the universe, about the creation of Adam and Eve, about the Garden of Eden and the sin, and about the development of humanity in its original first steps. And already by the end of Parashat Bereshit, we learn that humanity is so corrupt. People are, we are creatures of desire, and one of the major things that we do in life is we are trying to materialize our whims, our desires, our dreams, and especially we're looking for an ambition, something to be excited about, and we go for it. Okay, and here we learn that in the beginning of its history, humanity was so wild. And it's normal. Why? Because you have no tradition of good and evil. So you try everything. Whatever feels good, you try to get more of it. Why? Just because it makes you feel good. And here we are here to feel good, which is the truth. Okay? The point is, when we go so wild into celebrating and experimenting all possible pleasures, in the beginning we're talking about a situation in which we read at the end of Parashat Bereshit, just the previous verses, chapter 6, verse 5, Vayar Adonai ki rabba ra'at ha'adam ba'aretz. And God sees that the evil of humanity is so much in the earth. V'chol yetzer machshavot libo rak ra kol hayom. And the inclination of the thoughts of his heart, it's evil all day long. Okay? And then comes verse 6, Vayinachem Adonai ki asa et ha'adam ba'aretz. And God regretted that he created Adam, that he created humanity. By the way, when you say Adam, it means, in the biblical sense, all of humanity, because all of humanity are included in Adam. And then God says, verse 7, and God said, Emche et ha'adam asher barati, let me erase Adam that I created, from above the earth. Me'adam ad be'ema ad remes v'adof hashamayim. The humans, beasts, till the insects and whatever, and all the birds of the sky. I just am regretting because I made them. And then verse 8, V'noach matzah chen b'nei Adonai. But Noach found grace in the eyes of God. And here we start in Parashat Noach. Vayoled Noach, verse 9, Ele toldot Noach. These are the generations of Noach. Okay, so the story is like this. Noach is the only person who was not infected in that craze of humanity, let us try whatever we can, because why not? And if it feels good just for a few moments, who cares about the consequences? Let's just go and get the most of what we can. Okay, that was the concept as we read from the Torah itself. There was one person who had some values, and he did not follow the great majority of his society. Okay, more than that, it says, "Et Elohim italech Noach." Noach was walking with God. He was a man of God. He had the consciousness of God with him wherever he walked to. And that's very important. So the Zohar is trying to ask us, what does it mean Noah was walking around with God? Okay? What does that mean? Because the result was that finally when humanity and animals and whatever, the birds, when all of that has been destroyed, only Noah and the animals he took to his ark have been saved from the great calamity of erasing of humanity and starting all over again. Okay, so the Zohar, verse 1, in the Zohar Parashat Noah, in a Sulam commentary, says Rabbi Chia Ptach, and he quotes from the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, okay? Ve'amech kulam tzadikim leolam yashu aretz. And your nation, all of them are righteous. They will forever, for eternity, inherit the land. Okay? And then he goes on. זכאים עינון ישראל, דמשתדלי באורייתא ודרכי דאורייתא, דבגינה יזכון לעלמא דעתי. Praiseworthy are those people that are dealing with the Torah, that they know the ways of the Torah, and for that they are going to inherit the world to come. Verse 2, כל ישראל יש להם חלק לעולם הבא. This is a very famous expression in the Torah Shebal Peh, saying that all Israel have a share in the world to come. ושואל, מהו הטעם? And how come? How come? And then he goes into this. I want just to focus on the topic that belongs to us, where he quotes from, I think this is Jeremiah 33, אם לא בריתי יומם ולילה חוקות שמיים וארץ לא שמתי. If my covenant is not there day and night, the laws of heavens and earth will not be able to be sustained. What does it mean? ולא אלא שישראל נקראים משום זה צדיקים. Here we have one very important issue, which is called the covenant. And it says in Jeremiah, the exception of the covenant, the observance of the covenant, is a condition for the laws and the rules of the universe to continue to function, which means the world can exist and all the laws will continue, balance, homeostasis, that the world has a balance, the weather and all of what is called, balance of this planet, which is a small little grain of dust relatively to the galaxies around us. Yes, still, there is a system of balance that the temperatures don't go too high or too low, so the planet is not being destroyed once in a while, except for one time, which is the flood, Noah's flood. Okay, what is the condition? So we spoke about it many times, and here we continue. It's a consciousness, the Zohar explains to us, that is called Brit. Brit means, in Hebrew, a covenant, which means the whole, we spoke about it last Parasha, last week, the whole existence of the creation, the evolutionary process, the history of humanity, all of that was conditioned that sooner or later a human being will come to this world that will realize that there are rules to these rules, there are values you cannot break, and he will accept upon himself those rules, and that is called the covenant. Okay? Now, verse 3 in the Zohar, מכאן למדנו שכל מי ששומר הברית שהעולם מתקיים עליו נקרא צדיק. We learn from that whoever observes the covenant, that the world exists thanks to him, and he's called a tzaddik, righteous person, in a way. מה לנו זה? How do we know that? מיוסף, שבשביל ששמר ברית העולם. We learn that from Joseph, that since he observed the covenant, which means he did not sleep with his master's wife, זכה שנקרא צדיק. Let us explain that. Here we have the story of Joseph. That is also, we have Noah, that is called a tzaddik. We have Joseph, who's called a tzaddik. What's the connection between the two? We know that Noah lived in a civilization in which they tried every possible way to gain pleasure, even for a short time. And of course, sexual pleasure was one of the leading things, like in most times in history. Okay? So, and the result was that Noah was the only one who somehow observed the main rules of morality that Adam received when he came to this world. And one of the rules was you don't sleep with somebody else's wife, and some other stuff also. Okay? Now, Joseph, we're talking about centuries later, many centuries later, like I think maybe more than 1,000 years later, okay, after Noah, Joseph is being sold as a slave. He's coming to Egypt, and Egypt had a very, very sophisticated civilization. However, they were not very much known for their sexual morality and values. In that case, they were very, very open society. Okay? When you learn about Egyptian history, you don't learn that too much. But if you learn much deeper about archaeology, you find a lot about it. Okay, so when Joseph is coming to that country, to Egypt, as a slave, and over there, he has the biggest test. We had many tests. First test is, you're born free. You're born as a special preferred child to a very lofty family, the family of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? And you're being stolen, and you become like at the bottom of the hierarchy of Egypt to be a Hebrew slave. And then you're just property. You have no rights whatsoever. And your master's wife, she wants you for her sexual desires. And he has basically legally, he cannot say no. When it says about, survival, she can kill him any moment if he resists her. And anyway, he is preferring to give up everything he had, and he had already a status, in order not to fall into that place of not observing the covenant, which means I want that to be really clear. The sages speak a lot about he was young. He was one of the most beautiful men that ever walked on earth. He was very young. He was in early 20s. You know, this is an age that your hormones and your blood is rushing. He was already having a good life as the CEO of all the business of his master. And he was dressed up nice. And he looked nice. And of course, he had desires. He was a human being. Okay? And then our sages are teaching us, when she wanted him, she was also a very beautiful woman, one of the most beautiful women that ever walked on earth too. So it's not that he was disgusted about her. When she seduced him and when she took him to her bed, there was a will from his side. You know, his evil inclination was also into, let's do it and let's enjoy and forget about whatever. You know, my father that taught me all of that stuff is so far away. Who would know? Maybe I'll never meet him. And he does something that is, for us, the role model, the flag of real humanity. He is giving up his status. Remember, he came as a Hebrew slave to Egypt. He was the most, like the lowest on the hierarchy of Egypt. He was on the lowest level, like the bottom of the all bottoms. Now, years later, he's already the manager of all the businesses of Potiphar. Okay, one of the greatest economical powers in Egypt. Now he can risk it, okay, when he gets into fight with the wife of the master. And he's there in bed with her. And what the sages are saying, he remembers suddenly his father, the teachings of his father. He remembers that he has a destiny. He remembers that he has a covenant to observe. He is the follower. He's the great-grandson of Abraham, the grandson of Isaac, the son of Jacob. He has a future. And he does something that is so not natural. He resists. He overcomes his body, desire, and whims. Because the body, as we read in Parashat Bereshit so many times, and we will read more in Parashat Noah, the human body is obsessed with cravings, with passions, with lust. It was made like this so we humans can earn godliness. The body is made like this. The body is the heir of the snake from the Garden of Eden. But we also have a soul. And the soul was created in the image of Adam, in the image of God. Okay, every human soul. And here we have that there is something, it's humane to fail. It's very normal to be addicted to all kinds of emotions, cravings, and desires. That's totally normal. But we are not here to be normal. We're here to excel. We're here to overcome. We're here to create a reality that is higher than what the physical senses reality is about. And if you don't fight for values higher than your everyday existence, your soul will always feel deflated. Not just this, because you will be connected to a logic that belongs to the body only. The body is blind. Whatever is tasty is good for us. Whoever is nice to us, really likes us and wants our interest, we know it's not the truth. Why do we fall again and again and again? And the answer is, we are built for that. That's how we are designed. So when we overcome that, When we stick, when we raise, when we excel, when we ascend to a higher frequency of value, vision, and godliness that is negating, that is beyond all what the logic of the physical senses is about, this is when we gain the real name of a real human being. Before that, we just a naked ape. Okay? We're just a little bit more civilized than apes. Many times we are much less. Apes will never commit mass murder just for their pleasure. Okay, maybe here and there, but they don't have the ability to destroy as humans have. Okay? So do not insult the apes and beasts, because what humans are capable of in a matter of destruction is unprecedented. No other creature can create such a damage. Okay? Why? Because the major issue, point, or rule is whatever has the power to bring value has the same opposite power to bring damage. Okay? So Joseph becomes tzaddik not because he was a son of Jacob, not because he was one of the 12 tribes, not because his father prepared all his life to bring such a high soul to be the chariot for Sefirat Yesod in the tree of life. Sefirat Yesod, which is the frame, the frequency that is the bridge, the connection between the godliness and physical life, between living just a mundane, boring life, or living a life of excelled acquisitions of wisdom, power, success in every aspect. This is what Joseph is representing. He's representing that a human being has a divine soul, and when you simply commit to the covenant, to a value, to a vision that is godly, that is stronger, greater than all the body desires and whims, then you acquire that ability to ascend. And ascend where? That level between godliness and physicality is called Yesod. Sfirat Yesod. Sfirat Yesod, Tzaddik Yesod Olam. The Tzaddik, the righteous person, is the Yesod, the foundation of the world. Which means, without that connection, the physical world, which means when a person does not have that Tzaddik connection, that Yesod connection, his life force will dwindle. He will basically be considered alive. But many people, they are living dead. They're cynical. They give up. They don't really think that life is really great and it's worthwhile fighting for. Why? They gave up. Why? Again, they tried to get so much out of life when they were young, from every aspect, either financial, either pleasures, traveling around the world, sexual pleasures, alcohol. There's so many ways a human being can achieve great pleasures. What is the problem? When we become addicted to pleasures, and we just develop, even what they call love today is an addiction. We are being programmed as little kids that love is something that is a hormonal rush, that you feel high. It has to end within very short time into a climax in bed. Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your marital status. You feel like doing it and you do it, and wow, no matter the consequences. Same thing with alcohol, same thing with drugs, same thing with buying stuff that really you don't need. You have other things that are more important, like education of your kids or yourself. Humanity of today is going very fast towards the direction of Noah's, the culture of Noah, the civilization of Noah, which is, it's basically a civilization that is living upon addictions. What I call high and buy, which means you want the easy way into excitement and great fulfillment, and then comes the morning after. Everything collapses because the way we can connect to long-lasting fulfillment must be through a lot of hard spiritual work, and that means you cannot let your body whims, desires, and pleasures control you. And that is called the covenant. Covenant means you have a set of rules of vision and loyalty to values that are much bigger than your immediate need for pleasure. A person that does not have that set of rules cannot be connected to that sphira, which is called Yesod. Sfirat Yesod is that sphira, as I said, that is connected between the human level of state of thinking, physical logic, experiencing real life, and the divine. Okay, which means a person that wants to reach divinity and godliness must go through that test of shutting down the body, not totally. It's more like the word is to train and subjugate the body. So when you have desires, like desires for success, for making a lot of money, desires for pleasure, could be, again, alcohol, good food, sex, whatever, all of these pleasures that the body is designed to experience. If you do it under, and that's different between the Torah and other teachings, if you do it under the covenant, which means you're not subjugating the body just to shut it down, you're subjugating the body in order to serve your greater, big spiritual purpose. So there will be divine financial success, which means you have holy money, you have real lasting fulfillment from business and all kinds of careers that you make, because there's a value behind it. What value? Values that connect to the values that Torah is talking about. Okay? The values that we are not here for a high and buy. We're not here just for the grab. We're here to experience, and that will be the end of Parashat Noah. Because in the end of Parashat Noah, when Noah comes out of the ark, God is giving him the covenant again. Same covenant he did with Adam. But now it's called the 7 Noahide laws. The 7 laws of the covenant of God and humanity from the time of Noah. And that means that, as we said from the time of Adam, because we are all divine, okay, and you have to have an awareness of godliness, okay? And you cannot worship idols that are, what does it mean, idols? Usually, if you look at paganism, most of the idols basically served they were serving the body needs, okay? And most of the pagan gods, they basically symbolize the different traits of the evil inclination of a human life, okay? You're not supposed to worship that. You should ascend above it, okay? So that was about godliness. That also about not to steal and not to kill, which is respecting other human beings that have godly souls in them, and also respecting the animal world, which means not to eat animals when they're still alive, and so on and so forth. And these are this, and then to have a society, a civilization that has rules of justice. Okay, this is like the laws that you have to be aware of. Of course, also the law of sexual kind of values, all of that, but with the consciousness that it's not a human morality, it's a godly morality. Okay, that is the culmination of the whole story. Noah achieved that level before the flood, and therefore the Zohar says he was secure. He was protected. He was the Sefirat Yesod of his time. What does it mean, Sefirat Yesod? In one word, he was lucky beyond the statistics, beyond the probabilities. People died, he was not. People lost their families, he did not. People lost everything they had, Noah did not. Why? He was there to keep the gate between the world of divinity, the world of godliness, and the physical world open. This is what Sfirat Yesod is about. How do you get it? You cannot get that power, Sfirat Yesod, when you live in a place in which you don't have any ambition for money, sex, excitement, and stuff like this. You cannot. The only way to achieve that is to experience daily life with the daily pleasures and to be able to ascend and transform all of those desires into something of a higher nature. Okay? Not to stop it, not to ignore it, to transform it. Okay? When you do that, you achieve that connection to Sfirat Yesod. Now we can understand the continuation of the Zohar about this topic. I'll continue verse 4 in the Zohar of הסולם. רבי אלעזר אמר, למדנו, בכל מקום שכתוב אלה פוסל את הראשונים וכולי. When he says like Noah basically replaced Adam. Adam was the first trial, failed. Noah was a second trial of God to replant humanity. Because the first trial failed because most of humans basically did not get what the idea is about. They simply felt their desires, bodily desires, and they simply went for it. Okay? One person did not. Only one person figured it out. That was Noah. He survived, and now God started to made a restart. He replanted humanity again, hoping that this time it will work. Okay? And it says, where it says in Parashat Bereshit, V'nahar yotze mi'Eden, and a river is coming out of Eden, the Garden of Eden. That river meant Sfirat Yesod. Now that river is being erased because of the sins of humanity. And therefore, instead of it, came a new river, which is Noah. And Noah was the person who recreated that connection between humanity and the godly aspect of creation. Only when you have that connection, you can really have life that we can call successful, lucky, protected, in sync, in the zone. There's so many words for it because people realize, you know when you're on, you know when you're off. You know when you're on, and that on won't stay long, maybe 20 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, maybe just 2 hours, 3 hours. But you know the off will come. You know when you're on and this on is cruising and it's going to be there for a long time. How do you achieve that kind of being in the zone without consuming yourself and burning yourself to the ground, to ashes? Verse 5 in the Zohar, Parashat Noah. Bo'u come and see. Ken ze Noach lemata. Noach in the physical world, Haya Brit Kodesh, he made himself by his behavior, by his ability to ascend and withstand all the temptations of the civilization around him. Okay? Not to become part of it. We all know how tough it is. When you have some morals, when you have some rules, when you have some ideology with values, and you live among people that don't care about it whatsoever, and they look down at you because what happened to you? Why are you not celebrating life like us, like we do? And you can't explain it to them, that they're making a big mistake. Okay? So, of course, as I said, they did not mean bad. You know, if you go and ask them, like, are you evil people? Are you bad people? No, we are great people. We do what's best. Okay? Nobody goes around saying, I'm the bad guy. You know, I belong to the bad people. You know, everybody you talk to, he's the great guy. So I never met the bad guys. Where are the bad guys hiding? How come you never meet them? Because a person does not really think he's a bad guy. He does everything according to his best. The problem is, when you're not living a life of fighting for your values, willing to pay everything, any comfort zone you're willing to cross just for your values. You don't have any covenant to die for. Your chances to achieve real humane structure are slim to none, because godliness has to be fought for. Okay? And we're not ready to fight for the covenant. You don't have any covenant. The only covenant is, I do whatever feels great at the moment. Who cares about the consequences? That's exactly the opposite of covenant. That's the basics of idol worshiping. Which means, I want to do whatever I feel like if it gives me pleasure, without any regrets. I want to sleep with anyone I want to sleep with any regrets. I want to take any money or gains or honor when I can take it without any values, any rules. If I can take, I can take. Okay, these are the two philosophies that humanity is dealing with since its creation, no matter what you call it. You can give it so many different ideologies. Free love. You can call it equality. Doesn't matter. If you go and you search every step in the evolution of humanity, you will see the fight between the two ideologies. And now, 2023, or 5783, 2023 soon, 5783, we are in the same great war of ideologies. Is there godliness? Are there values that are universal, beyond human logic, that the human soul is craving to, and they are worth fighting for? Okay? Or are we just basically kind of biological robots, naked apes, and we just, you live only once and you just get whatever you can, whatever price it is? Okay? And don't be worried about so much about guilt, whatever, just go for it. If it feels good, it must be good, without any limitations. This is what the story is about. You want to achieve real, true protection, you need, the key is Sefirat Yesod. Why? Sefirat Yesod is the gate to the zone, is the gate to that dimension that you can see the bigger picture, that you can see and feel something greater than money or any other body pleasures, something that is greater than life. As long as you don't feel that gate of Yesod connected to something greater than life, you always go around and try pleasures and say, that was great, but that was not it. That was great, but it's not. Why didn't it stay? That's basically the journey of humanity, especially today. You would think that today, that we have such a modern system of health and housing, industry, whatever, that people will be thinking it's crazy to go into a war and killing each other, or to go into a fighting about money and killing each other. Why would somebody do that? Because you just live a simple life, honest life, and you have the chance, because they say the first person who would live 1,000 years was already born. Could it be you? Why do you want to risk that? You have so much more to risk. Why people become so insane? When we do not have a connection to the covenant, the biblical covenant, we became kind of crazy. We do horrible stuff. I said it many times. During the 19th century, European elite, scientific, philosophy, whatever, they wanted freedom. For them, religion was bondage. It was hell. They did everything they could to disqualify the Bible. Okay? Everything was kosher in that fight. The reality was that finally, when they came to their realization that religion is dead, there's no God. We killed him. There's no God anymore. The Bible is dead. Religion is dead. The idea of God is dead. We humans do not need God anymore. What was the result? You need to adopt another religion. Darwin came and gave the slogan of the survival of the fittest. That's a religion. We are one with nature, and what happens in nature? The survival of the fittest. And therefore, that came with communism and Nazism, and the biggest massacre of humans in the history. How many humans have been murdered under that flag? The survival of the fittest. It's just for the higher good of society, either the Nazis or the communists. That was where it brought to. Why? The moment you have power without checks and balances, when you have a religion, you have checks and balances. Why? There's God above you. You answer to a higher authority. You can't just kill people. But the moment it's like, no, the God is nature. And all of these people that stand in the way, the greedy ones, the disabled one, we just get this, discard them. And that's what Nazism and communism, they were sister religions, Nazism and communism. They agreed that for the higher good, You can kill any human being, and human being does not have a godly soul, which that is innegotiable. War became a kosher tool to destroy in order to get a better world. What was the result? Yes, a better world came out after these religions destroyed so much. Now it's coming from a back entrance. Again, the same ideology. There's no God. It's only human philosophy we can get with, and it's okay because we can trust human philosophy. No, we cannot. Very dangerous when this is coming to power, because power corrupts, and when you don't have any ideas that are bigger than that, it corrupts to a very dangerous direction. So how that will bring us, so we understood that if we want to really achieve true success in every level, success means that you can get up in the morning and you can still secure your survival and your family's survival. That means that you are successful in your business, you're successful in your relationship, you're successful in your decision making. It's not really coming from pure logic, it's coming from a higher place, beyond the human logic. And we know, again, human logic, the moment science is saying, human logic says that the earth is flat. What do you think? We live on a flying ball in empty space? It's impossible. No, the earth is flat. That means that if you travel far enough, you'll fall over the edge. Science was very much certain about it. Okay? Oh, if you are a scientist, how many times in the history of science scientists were simply in bondage of a concept? That's impossible. You can never do this and this and that. You can never travel energy. Information can never travel faster than the speed of light. Einstein, was he right? No. Quantum physics proved like really empirically that that's wrong. You can, like information and energy can travel from the point A to point B without any time. It can skip. It makes a quantum skip. Okay? So, where's our brain? Our brain is simply a result of our whims, desires, cravings, and lusts. If we just find refuge in our brain, it never ends good. You need to find the connection to the upper world, and the connection is Yesod, and the ticket to Sfirat Yesod, to the gate to the upper world, is covenant. Keeping those spiritual rules without any negotiation. There are certain rules and they're not negotiable. Okay? And you can't compromise them. We continue. Ma'ateva. So what's the ark? And he says the ark. Oh, there is an ark. The ark of the covenant. Noah's the men of the covenant and the ark. The ark of the covenant. Every synagogue has an ark. What's inside the ark? The 5 books of Moses. Which means all of these symbols appearing in Parashat Noah, it's all about the message of how can a person achieve a higher secured life. Because logic is not secure. Logic is not secure. You can see so many experts in finances, in politics, and so they speak and so many millions of people follow them till the moment that you know what? They made it. They made others pay them for talking nonsense. Okay, they made it. But the day comes that the truth must be shown. That it was just nonsense. How do we know, asked the Zohar, that someone is really connected to to the Ark of the Covenant? And the answer is because the moment you are connected to the covenant, you get an ark. Your life becomes an ark. And basically what the Zohar is saying, today, in our generation, just studying the Torah is not enough. You need to study the Torah with the Zohar, because the Zohar will become Noah's Ark. Because when you get to understand the real true values of the Torah through the Zohar, your mind is starting to be rewired. So you learn subconsciously how to generate an ark around you. And how do you know an ark is an ark? When you have fruits. When you see that, we see somebody working very hard, very, very hard, building that, starting that startup here and there and so on, but there are no fruits, which means it doesn't continue. Oh, they're great, amazing moments, but it all comes to an end. There's no blessing. It doesn't belong to the real system. You're not really online. You're not tapping into the network of godliness. And therefore, you can check only later on, or you learn how to develop that kind of compass inside that you can understand and feel what is the right direction. And how do you know what's the easiest way? Is when you have the ability to experience lust, cravings, desire for anything that life offers us, and we can stop, ascend, and reach out and upwards to godliness. And then something amazing is happening. The moment that connection is being created, that connection of Yesod and Malchut and the Ark, and new ideas are coming in. That's called real, true thinking outside of the box. Real ideas are coming in. Ideas, understanding, purpose, a sense of reality. That is what we need. This is our protection. Then, in moments of danger, when you know it is danger, when you don't know, you will simply be guided to the right thinking, to the right ideas. That will be your Noah's Ark. Then you'll find yourself like, how did I know to say no? How did I know to say yes? There was no logic behind it. This is the great steps of humanity were always quantum. Quantum means illogical, which means you can't explain the connection between before the step and after the step. How did he get from A to B? That was a quantum leap. How did he get the quantum leap? You have to go through the Yesod gate. Therefore, people who have real, true faith in one God, that it's all of humanity, that is the whole universe, and they're more optimistic, more resourceful, they will know in the right moment what to do, and they won't be able to explain it because they will be in that zone. This is what Parashat Noah is about for all of us. And therefore, this is when basically the book of Genesis is giving us again the legacy of the 7 Noahide laws, which are the 7 basic ideas that when we follow them, we can lay the foundation, Yesod, for real true success, real true sense of security. I know the world is in turmoil. I know that the world is full of lies and traps. However, I go with the light of God, and I do not have to be afraid of. I know that I am part of the ark. Thank you so much, and a lot of success.